I've got what it takes. So do you.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation, and the Ad Council.
The following is a presentation of Odyssey Sports. For even more coverage of your team, download the free Odyssey app and listen to your favorite stations, shows, and podcasts.
Bang! Tremendous free.
This is the Georgia Power pregame show.
Bang!
Join us as we get you ready for today's game. Our Hawks are set to soar this season. Catch every game all season long here
On the Atlanta Hawks Radio Network. This is Atlanta Hawks basketball on the Atlanta Hawks Radio Network. Here's Mike Conti.
And a pleasant good evening to you from our Atlanta studios. The Hawks right back in action tonight, trying to avoid their first three-game losing skid of the year as they play the Philadelphia 76ers for the third time this season. Both teams splitting their prior two meetings, each winning on their home floor. The scene tonight is the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. Both the Hawks and 76ers are 11-9. The Hawks are fifth in the East. Philadelphia is sixth. Both teams are on the second half of a back-to-back. Both teams had to travel overnight. The Hawks coming off a 106-98 loss to the Miami Heat. Another really baffling game for the Hawks. And two of the last three nights, the Hawks have suffered losses that could be maybe described as embarrassing. Certainly so in Houston Friday night against the worst team in the league. And then the Hawks completely shut down, held to 38 second-half points last night after racing out to a 10-point lead in the first half. It was all Miami from the third quarter on, and the Hawks, playing without Clint Capella, again struggled to pull down rebounds when they needed it, struggled defensively again to get stops at the end of the game, and they end up suffering their second straight defeat, 106-98 to the Miami Heat. Trae Young had 22 points, but was just 4 of 16 from the floor and 1 of 8 from three. John Collins had one of his better games in recent weeks, 23 points and 14 rebounds. And he ended up playing some game-closing minutes at the center spot because, again, Capella was out and Onyeka Okongwu was struggling. Now, there is some good news for the Hawks tonight. Clint Capella is back for the first time since last Wednesday night. He missed the last two games with dental pain, but he is clear to play tonight. There was also a concern over DeAndre Hunter's status for this game, but Hunter as well will play for the Hawks tonight. He had 18 points on 6 of 14 shooting last night against the Heat. One injury setback, though, for the Hawks is that Jalen Johnson will be out tonight. Jalen did not score in 11 minutes played last night against the Heat. So from an injury standpoint, it could be a lot worse for the Hawks. In fact, Philadelphia really suffering through some big-time injury problems right now. James Harden out again tonight. Tyrese Maxey out again tonight. Joel Embiid will be a game-time decision for them. He did not play against Orlando last night, a game that Philadelphia won on the road, 133-103. The last time the Hawks saw Philadelphia a couple weeks ago up in Philly, it was Embiid who basically single-handedly won the game for the 76ers. He had a 40-point night. So we'll wait to hear on Embiid's status, but we do know at least for sure for the Hawks tonight, Clint Capella and DeAndre Hunter are going to play. But the Hawks need to tighten things up on both sides of the floor to get out of this two-game losing streak. They ended the first quarter of the season last night with a loss. The second quarter of the season begins tonight on the road in Philadelphia. We'll review what happened last night as we look ahead to tonight's game after this on the Georgia Power pregame show. It's the Hawks and the 76ers tonight on the Atlanta Hawks Radio Network.
Why are John Foy and Associates known for their responsiveness?
When you are injured on the job, it affects every aspect of your life. I understand that it's not only your ability to earn income which is affected, but also your ability to live your day-to-day life and be there for your family. It's therefore important to me to not only have a passion for the law, but to have a passion for the people and the families I fight for. This belief is a belief I hold dear and a belief I have built my firm on.
Injured? Call attorney John Foy and Associates today.
'Twas right before the holidays, and down BMW Road, not a driver was stressed, only good vibes flowed. Could it be 'cause one sat in his BMW's plush leather seats, or drove hundreds of miles without a slip in the sleet? Another drove far and yet was not stressed, since she was cruising with intelligent GPS.
I've started guidance.
This holiday season, take on the ultimate drive when you buy a BMW 5 Series X7 or X5.
Georgia is our home. That's why at Georgia Power, we're building the future of energy. Over the last decade, we've invested nearly $10 billion to strengthen the electric grid, installing new substations, upgrading transformers, moving power lines underground, and investing in cleaner energy. We're making the electric grid more resilient and reliable for you and for future generations. At Georgia Power, we know that making smart investments today prepares us to meet our customers' needs tomorrow.
There's been some hullabaloo recently over billionaires putting a few people in space. Well, we've been putting millions of people into spaces for years at Apartments.com.
Sir, we have a problem in Houston.
Like Gary here. He's launching a new career in a new city and needs a pet-friendly rental for his kitty crewmates. Team, activate search protocol.
Search tools activated. He's checking out the new pet-friendly listings, and he found one! Woohoo! High five, sir!
Apartments.com, proud partner of the Atlanta Hawks.
He catches high jams. This is the Georgia Power pregame show
On the Atlanta Hawks Radio Network.
The Hawks and the 76ers tonight in Philadelphia. Second half of a back-to-back for both teams, and the Hawks are trying to avoid their first three-game losing streak of the year. Quick road trip for the Hawks in Philadelphia tonight. Then Wednesday in Orlando, and Friday they'll be back home to take on Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. There are tickets remaining for that game right now. You can get them at Hawks.com/tickets. Well, it felt like maybe the low point of the first quarter of the season for the Hawks came Friday night in Houston, where they were out-rebounded by 31 by the Rockets. The Hawks giving up 37 second-chance points, an unexpected loss to the worst team in the league. Surely it couldn't get worse from there, right? Well, the Hawks had a similar feat on Sunday night in Atlanta, where, again, it was the Hawks jumping out to a big lead, but struggling on the glass and struggling to get key stops in the second half, and they end up losing a game to the Miami Heat, who were very, very shorthanded, a game that the Hawks felt like they really should have won. Let's take a look back now at last night's game in Atlanta. Sunday evening, the Hawks met the Miami Heat for the first time since last year's playoffs, where the Heat ended the Hawks season in 5 games. The Hawks were smarting after a surprising loss Friday night in Houston, and John Collins got the Hawks to turning the page early.
Hawks control the opening tip and go from left to right to start the game. Trey goes alley-oop underneath, and John Collins jams it home. So that's the way the game starts. Johnny Collins gets the first 2.
After going for 40 points in Houston on Friday, Trae Young had a hot start from the three-point line Sunday.
Now way out to DeJounte, left side Trae Young. Here comes a long 3 by Trae. That's good. Trae Young knocks down a long three-pointer from the left side. His 44th of the year, and the Hawks lead 8-3.
DeAndre Hunter stretched the Hawks lead to 10 later in the quarter.
Trae dribbles right now. Trae whips a pass way across. DeAndre Hunter, open 3, and he makes it again. DeAndre Hunter's got 10 first quarter points. Hawks lead by 10, 25-15.
Miami got the lead down to 5 early in the second quarter before DeJounte Murray responded.
Pass tipped by DeJounte Murray. DeJounte races, catches up to it, lays it up and in. The Hawks back up to a 7-point lead now, 37-30.
The Hawks lead was back up to 9 on this John Collins basket.
Now goes in the lane again, turns and fires it out to John Collins. Johnny Collins down the lane, floater good. John Collins has 9, and the Hawks are back to a 9-point lead, 48-39.
With the Heat again getting the lead down to 5, DeAndre Hunter came up with an answer.
Trae moves behind the screen. Now gets it out. DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre to the lane, goes up with a right-hander and scores. DeAndre's got 14 first-half points. Hawks by 7 again.
Now the Hawks' halftime lead was 9 on another Collins basket.
Trae still bouncing out near the logo. Drives the lane, passes underneath, and Yeka puts it up and in. So that's the end of the first half, and the Hawks have a 9-point lead. So at halftime in Atlanta, your score, it's the Hawks 60 and the Heat 51.
But the second half was all Miami.
DeJounte in the middle. Now he drives into the lane. Now he backs up. Has it knocked away and stolen. And Caleb Martin will break to the basket and jam. Martin's got 6. The Hawks lead is 5 again.
The Hawks kept their heads above water briefly on this. Collins alley-oop.
Trey dribbling up top. Alley-oop underneath. John Collins catches and jams. John Collins has 13. Hawks are back to a 5-point lead, 64-59.
But it was pretty much all Heat from there.
And Miami has it with 2:45 to go. There's a long pass underneath to Strus. Strus now gets it in the lane to Highsmith. Highsmith back to Strus, and he lays it in. But now it's an 81-74 lead. Hawks down by 7.
The Hawks got as close as 4 points late in the third quarter on a Frank Kaminsky 3.
Now Trey has it. Trey dribbles, drives in the lane. Back out to Frank Kaminsky for a 3, and he makes it. And the Hawks trail 83-79.
But Miami dominated the fourth quarter.
Frank Kaminsky backs and spins and lost the handle. And now here comes Martin. Martin right down the lane. Martin puts it up and in. And the Hawks will call timeout. And Miami has a 7-point lead.
Martin hit a 3 on the next possession to make it a 10-point game.
Hero bounces it in the corner to Caleb Martin. Martin fakes, now shoots a 3, and he makes it. And the Hawks trail by 10 and are in deep trouble right now.
And then it was Kyle Lowry stretching the Heat lead to 13.
Lowry under the basket, throws it in the corner. Martin back to Lowry, 3-pointer. He's got it. The ship is sinking. It's the Heat 109, Hawks 96.
It went as a disappointing loss for the Hawks, who had a comfortable cushion in the first half at home.
Now it's down to 3 seconds left, and DeJounte Murray just holds it, and the horn sounds, and that's it. Your final score here in Atlanta, it was the Heat 106 and the Hawks 98.
Nate McMillan speaks of the differences between the two halves.
I thought we did a pretty good job in the first half attacking it. Just attack the gaps, makes who play you. You play from inside out. And the second half, it became a stop sign, and we're trying to run maybe a zone offense, or we just wasn't aggressive enough. You got to be aggressive against that. Our man and our zone sets will work against that.
And the coach's comments are brought to you by your Atlanta area BMW centers, providing legendary performance, exceptional offers, and a premium ownership experience. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Visit BMWATL.com today. You do have to give the Miami Heat a lot of credit for their defense, especially in the second half. The Hawks were shooting over 50% going into the third quarter. They end the night shooting under 40%. And again, a very rough night shooting three-pointers. 28% for the Hawks. Still one of the least accurate three-point shooting teams in the NBA. In fact, they ranked 27th out of 30 teams in three-point percentage and 29th out of 30 teams had made three-pointers per game. The Hawks average less than 10 per game, and that puts you in a very, very bad spot in the NBA when you cannot make three-pointers with any regularity and you're held to 9 or 10 per game. It was 10 last night against Miami. Trey was 1 for 8 from 3. DeJounte Murray was 2 for 8 from 3. So even though Trey and Murray combined for 35 points, they were only 9 of 32 from the floor and 3 of 16 from 3. It was another night where Trey got most of his points from the foul line. He also had a season-high 14 assists. Was not all bad for the Hawks. John Collins had probably his best game in at least the last month. 23 points and 14 rebounds. Also had a pair of assists. And remember, Clint Capella is back for the Hawks tonight, so that should really bolster their rotation at center. Frank Kaminsky had to play 12 minutes last night. As you heard, Kaminsky actually made a couple three-pointers in that highlight package. Listen up, Hawks fans. It is 26 minutes and 40 seconds to game time. Presented by Napa, it's time to get up and go. We'll have the 76ers scouting report coming up after this on the Georgia Power pregame show on the Atlanta Hawks radio network.
I didn't look at no other team. It was Atlanta.
DeJounte Murray joins Trae Young and the Hawks.
The culture, the city speaks for itself. This is the place to be.
Long three is on the way, and bang!
Look out, Atlanta. Trae and DeJounte together has the potential to be absolutely unstoppable.
It's opening night, presented by State Farm, as the Atlanta Hawks take on the Houston Rockets. It all begins October 19th. Buy now at Hawks.com/tickets.
I'm attorney Ken Nugent.
And I'm Hall of Famer Dominique Wilkins.
I'm proud to be teaming up with the Atlanta Hawks Foundation to provide scholarships for kids to attend basketball camp.
The mission of the Atlanta Hawks Foundation is to help Atlanta's youth learn life skills through basketball.
Check out AtlantaHawks.com in the community section.
Get involved.
Ken Nugent, proud partner of the Atlanta Hawks.
Call 1-800-CALL-KEN, spokesperson for Kenneth S. Nugent, PC Attorneys at Law, 1355 Peachtree Street Northeast, Suite 1000, Atlanta, Georgia 30309.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us, on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Welcome to a late night edition of What If, the show where I, Jake from State Farm, answer your insurance what ifs. We've got Sean on the line. What's up?
Hey, Jake, what if I'm too stressed about my coverage to sleep? Like, what if I don't have enough? Or what if I need to change it?
Oh, if you can't sleep, just give us a ring. We're available 24/7. At State Farm, we're there for your what ifs.
Oh, great. What if I just take a little nap?
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
We're getting you ready for today's matchup
This is the Georgia Power pregame show
on the Hawks Radio Network.
Getting ready for the Hawks and the 76ers tonight in Philadelphia. The third meeting between these teams already in the 2022-23 season. Today is Cyber Monday, and if you missed out on any Black Friday deals, the Hawks have you covered today. The Hawks have launched their holiday bundle, which includes tickets to two different games against two of the best teams in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns, and a long-sleeve shirt inspired by this year's City Edition uniforms. You can get your holiday bundle right now at hawks.com/holiday-bundle. And again, those are for games coming up against Milwaukee and Phoenix at State Farm Arena, but the Hawks in Philadelphia tonight to take on the 76ers, which brings us to the scouting report brought to you by Planet Fitness. Philadelphia, like Atlanta, 11-9. They're 6th in the East. Like the Hawks, they played last night. Like the Hawks, they had to travel last night. They defeated Orlando 133-103, and they did so as a terribly shorthanded team without Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey and James Harden. But Embiid is back in the lineup tonight. That is bad news for the Hawks. Embiid, the last time he faced the Hawks a couple weeks ago in Philadelphia, he scored 40 points. He's averaging 32 points and 10 rebounds per game on the season.